If you're a foodie and you're coming to Spain, don't bother ordering paella, croquetas, or patatas bravas. Well, you can order those foods, but if you really want to experience the culture and the diversity within Spanish cuisine, then here are some must try foods when you're coming to Spain. And make sure that you watch the video all the way through because some of these recommendations can't be found in every region of Spain. I'm going to tell you what to eat and where to find these foods. Hi, my name is Kiersten. Welcome to my channel. This is Hachi. This is the water stain on my shirt that I'm trying to desperately hide. And I make weekly videos on my life in Spain. I talk about the culture, I talk about the glamorous and less glamorous sides of living abroad, and I also like to talk about what it's like freelancing abroad and what it's like managing money and managing your finances being in when you move and live to an what it's like managing your finances when you move abroad and live in a foreign country. So if any of those things interest you, make sure you click the subscribe button and give this video a like if you want more videos like this. So starting off, number one, the must try food. I'm going to start with a regional food that you probably haven't heard of unless you've visited Jaén or the capital of Jaén or the region of Jaén where I live. And this dish is called pipirana. It is a very traditional dish that you can find on some restaurant menus, but it's mostly something that people make in casa at home, and it is a great summer dish, and it is good for people that are pescatarians. And it's simple ingredients, but the key is like many things in Spanish cuisine. The key is rich ingredients such as tomato, garlic, boiled egg, tuna, green peppers, and of course extra virgin olive oil. And you put those together, and you make a delicious and quite simple to put together dish. Over the summer, I actually learned how to make this dish. There was an event in the Santa Catalina castle where I live in the capital of Jaén, and it was a group event where we got to learn about the history of pipirana, and then we worked as a group to make it. I have a video on my shorts about that if you want to check that out. I will say that you could probably, outside of the region of Jaén, it is possible to find pipirana, but it might have varying ingredients. The next is a personal fave, and I feel like you can pretty much find it in most regions of Spain, Madrid, Andalusia. I think some places in the north that I'm not 100% sure. Definitely, if you're coming to popular cities like Madrid or Sevilla or Valencia, you can definitely find gambas al ajillo. It is definitely one of my favorite dishes because it's pretty much shrimp or prawns. I guess, yeah, prawns. So those big shrimps, prawns, and cooked in really rich extra virgin olive oil and garlic, and I believe, if I remember correctly, parsley. And it's so good. It's simple. Again, I think the key, again, Spanish cuisine, simple but really rich ingredients, and it's something that I could probably eat every day. Some of the recipes can be a little bit spicy. Also, FYI, Spanish cuisine isn't normally super spicy. So for those that have a more simple palate like myself, or not in love with, crying when they're eating, then Spanish cuisine is definitely up your alley. Continuing our food exploration in the south, this dish, I first tried it in Sevilla. It can be served as a tapas oftentimes. I also wrote an article about doing a food tour in Sevilla, which I will link in the description if you are visiting and want to really experience and find out where to get the local dishes and try the more authentic foods and not fall into tourist traps. But this dish is patatas harinadas, which is pretty much a like a potato salad. I would probably be the best simulation to like an English American dish, but instead of like mayonnaise and things like that that you might find in like a traditional American potato salad, you will have ingredients like shallots, vinegar, olive oil, and it's very refreshing. It's definitely a great summer tapas or a great summer meal. Pair it with a vermouth and you're in heaven. The next is pimientos de patron. This dish I have found in both the north of Spain and when I visited, por ejemplo, Galicia, and in the south of Spain as well, in Madrid, middle of Spain. So I feel like you may not find this dish like almost everywhere, but it is in majority of places. And pretty much what it is fried these small green peppers that are fried in, of course, extra virgin olive oil and then just topped with flaky salt. And it's so simple, but so good. And it's like it's just something that you can have with almost any meal, and you just pop them in, and you taste the richness of the peppers, of the salt, and the olive oil, and it's definitely great for vegetarians. I think it's great for picky eaters, and it's just great. Anything that you have, you can just have pimientos de patron with it. My next recommendation is something that I personally am not a fan of, but a lot of people are. And so definitely if you're like an all-out foodie and you like to try whatever is available, then definitely try caracoles, what are pretty much just snails, but they are often cooked, or they are cooked in a really rich broth. So you get like rich flavors, and I think the broth can vary depending on who is cooking them, but oftentimes it'll have things like herbs, fresh herbs, rosemary, and they are these very small snails, and you kind of pick out the meat one by one with a toothpick, which I feel like is a lot of effort for something, to eat something, but it is very good. My partner loves them. I have tried them. I'm not a fan, but maybe one year my taste buds might change. Next, we have another food again that I'm not the biggest fan of because I normally don't eat red meat. I'm not a big red meat eater. But it is something that I think I definitely tried my first year in Spain because I kind of felt like I had to, and it is really good. I will I will say that it is definitely, I think anyone that has tried it has definitely appreciated it, and this is jamón ibérico. You can find really rich, really decadent jamón in markets and mercados in Madrid. You can also sometimes in Madrid, but it's also something that you can probably find in most parts of Spain. It is something that the Spanish are very known for. So definitely, if you are a big meat eater, then trying jamón ibérico is a must. So jumping back from being a big meat eater, if you are more vegetarian or you're just not a big meat eater, then the next is, and if you're coming to Spain during one of the warmer months, I would definitely recommend salmorejo. This is, you can kind of classify it as like a cold soup, but pretty much it has a tomato base, and I believe it's mixed with, oh, I want to say it's pretty much tomatoes, like stale bread, and garlic, and then it's often topped with boiled egg or sometimes like pieces of jamon. When I order it, I usually ask for it to be served without ham, without the little um, trozos, without the little like pieces of ham. So that's definitely acceptable, especially if you're a vegetarian. But it originates from Cordoba, and I feel like some of the best salmorejo I've had has come from Cordoba when I visited Cordoba. And when I visited Cordoba one time, I also had samarejo with berenjenas, or fried berenjenas, which are fried eggplants, which I thought was really unique because normally berenjenas con miel is a famous dish. So it's like fried eggplant with honey. So having it with salmorejo was different that I hadn't experienced before, but I definitely would recommend it. It's something that again, it's simple. It's a great starter dish and great in summer because it's light and very very tasty. So speaking of summer, a great summer meal to have is sardinas con espetos or sardinas espetos. I'm not sure how to pronounce that together, but pretty much espetos are when you go to like a chiringuito, which is pretty much like a little restaurant bar that's on the beach, and they have a barbecue essentially, or like an open fire, and they'll put like sardinas or other fish as well. They'll put it on like a skewer and they'll cook it over the open flame, which I think really makes whatever fish you're eating just have that really rich smoky flavor. So definitely if you are visiting Spain or in the summer, check out a chiringuito, see if they have espetos on their menu. And if they do, I would order the sardinas or sardines. I must say that I was not a fan of sardines until I came to Spain, because you can oftentimes my partner and I will go to Mercadona, the supermarket here, and they have like their fresh fish fresh fish section, and we'll often order sardinas and cook them at home. So I think that I came from the United States, and most of the times I've seen sardines is when they're like in a can and they did not look appetizing at all. But definitely having fresh sardinas or fresh sardines in Spain is something that I really appreciate. Continuing the love for fish, another favorite of mine, which I've ordered whenever I've gone to the beach or at restaurants, is boquerones con limon, which are pretty much, now I forgot what they were in English. They're smaller than sardines. Damn it, what are they called? Anchovies. They're pretty much anchovies. You can get boquerones, like just regular boquerones or boquerones con limon with lemon. Both are really good, and pretty much they are fried anchovies. Again, never really ate anchovies before I came to Spain, but they're definitely something that if I see them on the menu, I'm most likely ordering them. Okay, so this next recommendation is kind of a twofer because it's essentially combining two different foods. And so I first discovered this food, this must-try food. It's as a tapa in the region of Murcia or Cartagena. Specifically, I was in Cartagena, I believe, when I first tried this. And it's called a bicicleta. And pretty much it is, bottom, it's a rosquilla, which is like a kind of an oval shaped, not really a cracker, but it's kind of like bread that's like fried or hardened or cooked. On the bottom, and then on top it is ensaladilla rusa, which is kind of like, I would say, similar to a potato salad because it has potato, mayonnaise, olive oil, eggs, but definitely in a distinct taste than like a regular potato salad that you might get in the United States. So that is often I've seen it as a tapa, and it's really fulfilling because you have like the crunchiness from the bread, but then you have like the softer texture of the ensaladilla. And I often get ensaladilla rusa by itself. You can get it as a meal by itself, a meal or a tapa. Sometimes ensaladilla rusa is served with like an egg, like a broken egg on top, which is really unique. And I really like ensaladilla rusa because it is very flavorful.
Every restaurant has like variations of this ingredient, and it's light but also filling as well, because I feel like it's a good starter, but also it can be like a standalone meal. If you kind of have a lower appetite, you can get it ensalada rusa, and it will fill you up but not make you feel like heavy. And the last dish that I'm going to recommend, even though I have a ton more that I could probably talk about and recommend, so if you want more recommendations of different foods to try on different lesser known or non, I don't say lesser known because they're known before, but if you want more recommendations on unique and more specific foods to try, then let me know in the comments and I can make a second video. But the last recommendation I'm going to refer to or going to say goes back to a food that I can't say is my favorite, and I can't say that I would eat this regularly or order this regularly, and it took me a while to actually get used to not so much the flavor but more so the texture, and this food is octopus or pulpo. I would definitely recommend, if you come to Spain and you're visiting the north, particularly Galicia, I would definitely recommend trying it there, just because Galicia and many parts of the north are known for seafood. Which I think the north in general, you can probably find great seafood in any area. But for me, the texture is, and depending on how it's cooked, depending on, when I went to Galicia, like you can get pulpo is like in everywhere, pretty much every restaurant, and I tried it. It took me about, I want to say, 4 or 5 different tries for me to finally find an octopus that was the right texture for me to enjoy it. Normally it has a somewhat of a rubbery texture because the octopus is really tough. It's a really tough rubbery texture, which I was not a fan of. I'm kind of a texture person when it comes to food, so some textures, despite maybe the food being very flavorful, if the texture is off, then it's not for me. But nonetheless, I encourage you to try pulpo or octopus, because it is one of those cuisines, especially if you're coming from the United States. Like, I never thought I would ever try or eat octopus before. So if you are someone that, again, are pure foodie and are very adventurous, then definitely have to try it. Well, I hope you found my recommendations interesting and insightful, and if you have tried any of the foods that I recommended, then let me know in the comments what is your favorite. If you have more questions on the foods, let me know, and if you want a part 2, or if you want more insights on Spanish cuisine and Spanish culture and what it's like living here as an American, or as someone that is still, after 7 years here, still learning, adapting, and falling in love with this country, then make sure you give me a follow, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now.